And we're going to start with listening to his words and then reacting.
Nothing new on the Aaron Rodgers front. We'll see what happens, and hopefully we'll know something soon.
Are you content to wait?
Well, not forever, but a little while longer.
Did you envision it taking this long and playing out the way that it has?
No, didn't envision it taking this long, no.
How was the meeting? How do you characterize getting to meet him and go through that process?
It was good to meet him. Yeah, we talked about Pittsburgh and all the Pittsburgh coaches he's had over the years, and we talked about Greenfield and how much he knows about Greenfield, and so yeah, we had a good conversation.
Why does he know Greenfield? Because of McCarthy?
Yeah. McCarthy always talked about Greenfield, I guess.
There have now been some photos and videos of him throwing with DK Metcalf. Omar said yesterday if it happened, it'd be a good thing. Do you view it as a good thing? You're trying to read the tea leaves to figure out which way he's leaning, things like that?
I mean, I would say it was a good sign that he wanted to do that, and we keep hearing that he's I guess headed in our direction, and so that seems to be all signs are positive so far.
So you have a good
Two
feeling
more
about
here,
it.
guys.
But you have a good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, we
about
keep getting positive sort of signals about it. So I'd say we feel pretty good about it at this point.
How about it?
I apologize about the end. I totally forgot to take that exit video out of there. I'm still looking, dude. Nick Belsky was good at his job. Okay, we're going to get this thing rolling. Art Rooney said a lot and a little, and I kind of appreciated every single second of it because I went in there expecting him to say something. He's a very upfront guy. Art Rooney's not going to hide things. He's going to make his thoughts known. He's obviously not going to say things that hinder the team or may distract his team from the ultimate goal, which is a Super Bowl. That's not what he's looking to do. That's not what he's ever been looking to do. But at the same time, he's going to make sure that his thoughts are shared in moments where he can share them, and he's going to do it deliberately so that you understand where he stands. Maybe Aaron Rodgers understands where he stands, and that the world and the fan base know where he's coming from and where his mindset is. And I think that's super important through this entire situation. I look at this one of two ways. The Steelers know Aaron Rodgers is close, or the Steelers are sending a sign to Aaron Rodgers. And I'm going to dive into both. Now, the Steelers believe that Aaron Rodgers is theirs, and the NFL world believes that Aaron Rodgers is the Pittsburgh Steelers because I've been down here for 3 days now. I've spoken to a number of executives and sources on both sides of the ball. And by the ball, I mean Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And everybody seems to know or believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to end up in Pittsburgh. All signs point to Aaron ending up a Steeler in 2025. Him throwing with DK Metcalf obviously made that much louder and much more aggressive, and everybody immediately starting to think, oh, there it is, definitely coming, definitely happening. I took it as that, but it doesn't mean that there's more of a sense of urgency. And I think that's important with this, is that the NFL world believes that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to sign Aaron Rodgers, but they don't know when it's going to happen. They have no idea when Aaron Rodgers is finally going to say, okay, great, I'm coming to Pittsburgh, and I'm going to be a Steeler in 2025. Let me ink that one-year deal. Let me finally end all this chaos. And I don't think the chaos has anything to do with anything else other than it's Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is looking to drag this thing out as much as possible. Aaron Rodgers goes into the darkness, is completely silent, is incognito when he shows up in Pittsburgh in a visit nobody knows about, but he brings a photographer, or DK Metcalf brings a photographer, and Aaron Rodgers allows him to do so, to capture him and DK throwing the football together. That's never happened. Aaron and DK have never publicly been out there throwing footballs together, at least not that I know of. And you got to take that as Aaron Rodgers is making it known and keeping himself in the spotlight without actually giving the Steelers an answer. It's dramatic. You have to fully acknowledge how dramatic this situation is, how dramatic Aaron Rodgers' side has been throughout this all. and that the Steelers are looking at it the same way the rest of the NFL is, and just saying, look, it's Aaron Rodgers. We believe that we're going to get him. Everything is pointing to us getting Aaron Rodgers, and we just have to wait this one out. We just have to sit here and say, if we don't mess this up, which is wild to say, but it's true. If we don't mess this up, Aaron Rodgers will be ours in 2025, which is crazy that the Steelers don't have to mess up signing a guy that clearly should have already signed, that it makes no sense for him to have signed already. Now, okay, let's go to the other side of this, because the other side of this is very important. And I think this is the under the radar, not being spoken about side to this. Yesterday, Mike Tomlin laughed and said, yeah, we've spoken, when asked if Rodgers has a deadline or if he's aware of Rodgers' deadline. And he didn't say yes. He wouldn't say yes, but he very much so hinted at a yes, that he was aware of what was going on and when that was going to come. At the same time, he acknowledged the day before to me and others that you're looking at it going, as long as he shows up by training camp, things are okay. Omar yesterday says that they're being patient, they're sticking it out, and everybody is just rolling with the punches with Aaron Rodgers. And they feel confident about it, which is something that they have felt the entire time. But they aren't sitting here with a hard deadline thinking, okay, this has got to happen now. Rooney says, I'm willing to wait, but I'm not willing to wait forever. And I took that as a sign. I took that as a clear sign to Aaron Rodgers that the Pittsburgh Steelers are buying time because they need time. And at the same time, they understand that this can't go on forever. That he's doing things like throwing the football with DK Metcalf and making that very public, but he's not signing with the Steelers. That he's playing media, that he's playing attention. And that's not what the Steelers are looking for at all in a quarterback or in any position. And this is Art Rooney saying the things that Mike Tomlin and that Omar Khan can't, because Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin are trying to set the stage to make sure that Aaron Rodgers is cool and comfortable and everything's going to be okay, that things are going to be just fine between Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. They just have to wait it out because eventually he's going to sign. That's their belief. Rooney's looking at it going, yep, that's the belief. We are pretty confident that Aaron Rodgers is going to sign, but it needs to happen because it's ridiculous that it hasn't happened. And I can be totally off base here, but I really, really believe that it was a message to say, at some point, we got to move on. We believe Aaron's going to be our quarterback, but he can't push this thing out as long as he wants to push this thing out. That right now, the ball is in his court and he's waiting. And that's what Omar said, is that that's what happens with free agents, is you have to sit there and you have to be on their timing. Well, most times that's true with a limit, because the Steelers won't wait around forever. And the Steelers with Aaron Rodgers are waiting around much longer than they usually would be. And it's much more public than it usually would be. And they're kind of getting tired of it. That's how I interpreted that side of things. And again, I could be wrong, but I do believe that the Steelers are confident but irritated and tired of all of this. And do I think this is going to happen? Yeah. I mean, I was told yesterday that it's a pretty strong belief that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to sign Aaron Rodgers. I was told today that there's a pretty strong belief that it's going to be Aaron Rodgers, and that there's a chance that, he's just waiting it out to actually announce it on the Pat McAfee show, big night out thing. That Pat has said, no, that's not going to happen. But we all know that there's a possibility that it does. And maybe that rumor has some actual legs underneath it. and can gain some traction as we move forward. Again, anything is possible with Aaron Rodgers. That is what we've learned. And that is what this continues to be, is anything is possible with Aaron Rodgers. Everything is on the table with Aaron Rodgers, because every time I've spoken, this is a great example of this, actually, is this weekend, or this week, I guess, it's only Tuesday. You hear constantly, Aaron's going to go to Pittsburgh. Aaron's going to go to Pittsburgh. Aaron's going to go to Pittsburgh. But at every single stop, every single time you have that conversation, it comes with the disclaimer of, but maybe he doesn't, because it's Aaron Rodgers and you just never know. And again, I've gone on the whole, this is Aaron Rodgers, this is wild, this is something we never thought we'd be part of rant before. I'm not going to go on it again, but we don't know how to maneuver these things. And with the Pittsburgh Steelers, you've always believed if they got him hooked, they're going to reel him in. I don't know if that's 100% the case with Aaron Rodgers.